This is the video for the final section of the functional resume. This is steps 14 through, looks like 22, no, 21. All right, so steps 14 through 21. And this is a section where instead of telling you step by step exactly how to do things, I am sending you back to the steps that you've already used. And so I'll tell you to center something, but I won't give you the steps to do it. But in the notes section, I do tell you that if you don't remember how to center something, that you go back to step 5 in the lab. So if you're not sure or don't remember exactly how to do something, take a look at what step I send you back to, and that will tell you exactly how to do it again. But in the meantime, we're going to continue on with this formatting of our resume. So the cursor is currently 2 lines below the previous section, and it's blinking on the left. The very beginning of step 14 tells you to center your cursor for the next section header. If you don't remember, it's just this button up here, center align. And now we're going to do exactly what we did up here for the summary of qualifications, and we're going to do it down here. This time we're going to title it Relevant Experience and Employment. So you've already centered, time to make it bold, and time to turn on caps lock. And remember, when you do caps lock, you do not use the shift key to capitalize any of the letters. The caps lock button does that for you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and type this. I'm not going to worry about typos because right now, actually, I would like it to have a misspelled word, so I might do that intentionally. But we're typing relevant experience and employment. Let's give it a bad word. Okay, so not English. It'll catch that in a second. So that's the end of typing on that. We're going to press enter on the keyboard to move to the next line. And just as I said, it doesn't like that word. So you can tell it doesn't like it, and it's telling you it's misspelled because there's a red squiggly underneath it. So we're going to go ahead and right click on that, and that brings up a menu of different options. If it's someone's name and you use it often enough that you don't want it to show up anymore, you can ignore. But we don't want to do that. We just want the correct word. And they give you suggestions for what it might be. So I'm going to left click on that. It changes it to employment. Although it did bring it back up to that line. So I can either just click with my left mouse down on this next line, or I could have just hit enter again. All right, so moving on with step 15, we're going to left justify the cursor. That's this, left align. And if you didn't remember where to find that, I told you where to find that on step 12. And we are going to turn off caps lock. All right, you will notice that the step on 15 says do not turn off bold, and there's a reason for that. When we finish the resume, because this is a functional resume, we have our title for our section here, and then we have the title of the actual skill right here. Now it's no longer in caps lock, which is why I have that turned off, but this title is still in bold. So we say this is the skill that we have, and then we have bullets that talk about our experience with that skill. But we do still want bold on right now. So let's go back to this. And we'll go ahead and type in office management because we'll say this is an office management job that I'm applying to. Whoops. Office management. All right, now we hit enter again. So this is now step 16. And you'll notice it says title case. What title case means is that the O is capitalized and the M is capitalized, but nothing else. And you can also see that I misspelled management, so I right click on that again. It asks if I meant this. And notice that because I capitalized management, it's capitalizing management. So it's actually helping me stay in title case. All right, so now we're going to hit enter again. We're now on step 17, so we're going to turn off bold at this point. And we're going to turn on bullets and start typing our examples for the skills that you listed. So you'll recall that this is where we get our bulleted list from. If you don't remember where that is, I have notes on which step to find that in that notes section. And we're going to go ahead and type some bullets. Okay, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to come over to the one that I already did. And I'm just going to grab these and just pretend that I typed those. Now take a look at the examples that I gave you, because you want to make sure that you include numbers, like how many of something you did, how much did you improve the capability. This is not a list of the different things that you do in your job. It's a list of how you did those things in your job. Make sure you're using the handout that I gave you about how to craft good, solid bullets for your resume, and that's what you want to do. So when you get to the end of that, you just hit enter, and like previous sections, you hit it 3 times. And now we would go back into bold again because you're going to create a new header. So we'll call this one Computer Skills. Hit enter, turn off bold because we don't want the bullets to be bold anymore. And then we're going to go ahead and hit that bulleted list, and then you're going to continue on. So expert in Microsoft, and you can just do MS for Microsoft if you use the words after it. So like Office Suite, and I'm going to say Word, PowerPoint, and do figure out how to spell these things because PowerPoint is actually one word with 2 capital P's. Kind of funky. All right, Excel, and we'll say project. That's another software suite. Create another bullet. At this point, I'm not going to spend a lot of time typing stuff, so I'm just going to do this. Hit enter, get another set of bullets. For these sections, you want them to be at least 3 bullets, up to maybe 8 or 9. You can have a lot of them. Just make sure that you aren't going over 2 lines ever, and try not to go over 1 line. But if you've got really good content and you just can't get that any lower, then go ahead and have 2 lines. Just try not to exceed that. I want to show you how to fix some formatting mistakes. Let's say that we had gotten to the end of Computer Skills and forgotten to unbold that line, so you accidentally typed that line bold. Here's how to fix that. You don't have to erase it or delete it and retype it not in bold. So if you select a line, now what I mean by that is you come to the beginning of it, you place your cursor at the very front, and now you press down and hold the left mouse button, and then you drag your mouse to the right, and you don't let go of that left mouse button until you get to the end. And it'll show you exactly what you have selected. If I wanted to do more than 1 line, then I just drop my mouse down, still with that left button held down, and you'll see that you have that selected. So you just see what it is you have selected, and when it's exactly what you want it to be, that's when you let go of that left mouse button. So now I've let go of the left mouse button, and I can come up here and I can click bold to make it not bold. And you can do that for anything. You can select that middle line, once again, left click, hold, drag, let go, and then we could make it bold if we wanted to. But we don't want to make it bold, we want to make it not bold. So that's how you select things like that. If you decide that you want to bring something up onto the same line, so maybe these are 2 of the same concept, you could do a semicolon, and then all you have to do is hit delete, and that'll bring that up to that line. Now if you want to make it its own separate bullet again, you just hit enter right where it's blinking, and it makes it its own line. But of course then we'd have to get rid of that semicolon. Also, if you want to, you could make these sections blue. You can make colors, so you come up here to the text color button, left click on that, and choose a nice dark blue. And then do the same. And this is exactly the same technique. Left click, drag, let go of the button, and you select a color. That's also another way of making things stand out. But I'm going to go ahead and undo that because I'm just going to leave those black. You'll want to create at least 3 of these skill sections and up to maybe 5. Remember that every single job, no matter what it is, values communication skills and teamwork, so always consider having that as a section. I have these as notes in the lab, so go ahead and read through those sections and take a look at some of the suggestions I give you. Once you're done with the skills, then you would want to create another separate section depending upon what types of information you want to include in your resume. If you don't have too many gaps in employment, then you would maybe want to consider an experience timeline where you just list your job titles, the companies you worked for, and the years you worked for them. But don't include that if you have too many gaps in employment, because all that does is highlight the unemployment periods. With a functional resume, you are including not just work experience, but volunteer experience and even unpaid work. So anything that gives you the skills that they're looking for, you would include in here, and you don't have to mention where you got each of those skills. So some ideas in step 20 for things that you can include were that experience timeline where you're listing your jobs and the years, education and training if you have a lot of classes that you've taken, any additional information that wasn't already included in the summary of qualifications. So maybe if you did not include a foreign language and it's not a requirement for the job, but you still think it could be helpful information, then you would have an additional information section at the bottom and include it there. If you have any awards and honors that you received in your school, in your jobs, in volunteer work, anything like that. If you have a large number of honors and awards, go ahead and include an honors and awards section. Anything you choose to include, make sure you're asking yourself, is this helpful for the job? All right, so that you can see the general formatting of a finished resume, I'll go back over here to my little cheater one. And you'll see that I've got the regular information, and then we've got the relevant experience and employment. I only included 3 of the skills sections here, and then once you're done with those, then I created another section called additional information. This would be the same style that you would use for any of these sections. If you wanted to include the experience timeline, then you would do the same title as this for experience timeline, and then each of the jobs. This one just happens to be additional information, but each time you create a new section, you use what we've established as the section header, and then the bullets under that. And then if we wanted another one, we would use, once again, another section header. What's important is that you always have an extra empty line between each segment and the next section, between each skill and the next skill. Whatever formatting you choose, make sure that you continue to use it very consistently.